Today, we're making some jalapeno poppers. So I'm sure you've had jalapeno poppers at some point, but I'm about to show you a way that I like to elevate it. We're gonna be doing this right here in the oven, super easy recipe, and we're gonna be doing it a little bit differently by using chorizo rather than what I typically use with breakfast sausage. It's a very simple way to elevate the dish and give you a different flavor profile, and the recipe is pretty much the exact same if you are using breakfast sausage. It's just a different flavor that you're gonna get out of this that I really enjoy. So let's get started. Now, we're gonna get started with the process that's gonna take the longest. We're gonna cook down this chorizo. We're just gonna take this little tube here and squeeze it out. It's honestly the most satisfying part of the process. We're gonna put it over a medium-high heat. Now I'll actually go in with a little spatula here and kind of spread it out. Try to get as much surface area on this skillet as I can. That way it'll cook a little more evenly and give it a little bit of a brown crust. And while that's cooking, if you want to, go ahead and get your ovens preheated to 375 degrees. You could also do this on the smoker. That's how I typically do it, but it's not necessary. Now with these jalapenos, you could simply cut it with the top off right there, just like that. Cut it in half. And then we can pull out the middle here with a spoon. The other way to do it, the reason you'd want to do this is so it looks prettier, is you can do one side that has the stem on. Just kind of go in like so, find your little spot here, go about halfway through, and then slice through it and go in like that. That way one side you can actually see a pretty little stem like that. It just makes for a better presentation. And I'm only doing a few here. It's just me today, but you can multiply this recipe to really fit however many people you're gonna be wanting to serve at your tailgate or whatever event you're gonna be having where you're having these poppers. I wouldn't blame you if you made them just for yourself, to be honest with you. They're really good. Now, inevitably, every time I make these on either TikTok or Instagram, someone will call me a wuss for scraping out the guts here. If you like it spicier, leave all that in there. There's nothing wrong with it. I don't really care for it to be too terribly hot, and it gives you room for more filling if you take the insides out there. Now, I have joked about playing jalapeno popper roulette, where you core out all the inside like that on all of them except for one, and no one knows which one it is, and that's actually kind of fun to do with your friends, but we're not gonna do that here today since it's just me. Now with this sausage here, chorizo in particular, is kind of hard to tell, how far along in the cooking process it is. I tend to overcook it because of that, but it's fine. It's got enough fat in it that you can really get away with some of that. A little bit of overcooking if you have to, because normally, with most ground meats like this, we're browning it, and you kind of can tell from the color how far along it is. But cook this is probably gonna take anywhere from 5 to 8 minutes depending on the heat. I'm gonna turn this up just a little bit. I love thick bacon for a sandwich and things like that. And there's a few instances where I prefer to have some thinner and usually cheaper bacon. There's no reason to spend a lot of money on really good high quality bacon that's, half-inch thick for this, because what we're looking for when we wrap this is we want that bacon to be nice and done without completely overcooking the jalapeno and everything else. And if you get really thick bacon, naturally that's gonna take longer. So I've got some thin bacon, and what you're gonna see is I really like to pull on it and stretch it really, really tight. That thins it out even more, and that kind of holds it together a little bit better. So we'll finish cooking this chorizo, and then we'll get everything wrapped together. All right, it's been about 6 or 7 minutes. This chorizo is nice and cooked, I can tell. We're gonna take a paper plate here with a paper towel over it and just throw it right on there. And the reason we're doing that, as I mentioned earlier, this has got a lot of fat in it. It's got a lot of grease here. We just don't want too much to where it's kind of soaking through the jalapeno and making it really soggy. So I'm just gonna take this, and what I'll do is take another paper towel over it and just kind of pat it. That way it's not so greasy. So I'll go back into this pan here. And I'm gonna go ahead and take our cream cheese, and you can put this in a bag and mix it. You can put it in a bowl and mix it. I find it best to add a little bit of heat here when I'm doing it, and that makes it mix a little bit easier. The oven's preheated. We're gonna start working this in as best we can. Again, same process here. If you want to use breakfast sausage, do everything the exact same. This is just a different take on what you've probably had before. Now that we've got this somewhat mixed and we can kind of work with it, I'm also going to add a little bit of shredded cheese. I like that in there with it as well for the mixture here. So I'll put it on top and then kind of fold it in so it'll get a good even distribution. That's all we've got here. Now we can go ahead and start filling these up. One way to do it, take a spoonful and just sort of lay it on there. If it's not hot, you can, sometimes I'll just use my hand and actually do it, but this seems to work fine. And I'll go ahead and do all of these before I mess with the bacon any. You don't want to overdo it too much. I've found that it'll just kind of start seeping out between the bacon wrap and doesn't really do you any favors there. So just fill it up to where it's kind of even with the top of it, but don't overdo it. All right, so I'm gonna take the jalapeno in one hand, and I'm gonna take this bacon. I'm gonna kind of stretch it out a little bit before. We're gonna wrap it like so, hold it in place, and we're gonna stretch it. This helps get a thinner piece of bacon that's going to cook more evenly and quicker, and it's going to help hold it in place. This is what I've found. So if you kind of just try your best to pinch it in there as best you can, it'll hold its shape better, and you can continue to do that for all of these. All right, now it's time to get these in the oven. Again, you could do this on the smoker, but I've got the oven set to 375. I've got a sheet tray here with aluminum foil. It's going to make for some easy cleanup. Now, this is optional. This, if you haven't seen this product, this is from Grill Grates. I use these all the time. They make actual grill grates that are great for many reasons, and this one's good for the oven. It doesn't have the holes in there that help the smoke get through like you do on the grill, but this is a little trick I've found. Now I've also used like a resting tray, so it kind of gets the poppers elevated off of the sheet tray so that they're not cooking in their own grease, and that kind of keeps them soggy. But these raised rails make for the perfect little, I don't even know what you'd call it. It kind of just holds them in place here perfectly so that they're sitting on there, but they're not gonna be sitting in the own bacon grease that comes off of these. It's just a nice little thing. It's obviously not what it was made for, but it does a really good job with it. And it kind of helps the bacon stay in place by being kind of crimped on there like that. It's just a great little hack. I love the folks at Grill Grates. They've been great to us, big supporters of us, and this is just one of the many things I've found that's useful beyond what they're actually made for their main purpose here. But these are ready to go if you want to do it like this. Of course, I want to hit them with some rub. That's going to give us some color and just an extra little layer of seasoning. I've got the fajita rub. You could use the pork rub. That's got a sweeter flavor profile, which kind of gives you some contrast. But these are jalapeno poppers. I want them to be a little bit spicy. This has a tiny little bit of heat in this fajita rub, so it's gonna give us some more flavor, and it's gonna add that pop of good color we want. But now we're going straight into the oven. And how long are we cooking these? So I want to cook these until the bacon's done. Each bacon brand, you know, depending on the thickness, the cut it comes from, so many different factors are going to affect this. If it's a convection oven and where you have it in the oven makes a difference. What we want is some crispy bacon that's cooked all the way through without being burnt. It's probably going to take about 45 minutes, but we're going to keep an eye on this. We're not cooking for time, we're cooking for the texture of this bacon. All right, it's been about 35-40 minutes, and this is what we got. And if you ask me, this is perfect. And let's take a look here. Now, one of the things I mentioned earlier is how you can have too much in there and it'll just start kind of falling out. And a few of them have done that, but it's not that big a deal. You can still eat that filling, which is delicious. But this is what I'm looking for with the texture. I don't want it to be overly crispy so that when you bite it, it's like a hard piece of bacon. You want to be able to bite and it's crispy enough that you get that texture you want, but it holds its shape as well. If you have it too limp, it'll kind of just fall apart. So that's really what I'm looking for right there. And you can see those grill grates actually really help hold that bacon in place. If I'm being honest, these look really hot, but I can't wait anymore. Let's give it a try. I love that chorizo. It's so much different than any other jalapeno popper you're gonna have. Adds just a little bit of a Mexican kick for the spice there. I love the spice level. For me, it's just perfect. I got the fajita rub. It's got a little bit of cayenne in there. The jalapeno's warm, but it's not too spicy. These are so, so good. Give it a try.
The full recipe can be found at crowfood.com, along with our rubs, merchandise, and dozens of other great recipes. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And as always, thanks for watching.